Welcome to World Ascension Conference, and we're coming live from Devon, England, in our off-grid location. We also have the beautiful Lindsey here with us today as well. Say hello, Lindsey.
Hi, everyone. I hope everyone is doing amazing on this wonderful day. And we have the wonderful Lyz Starwalker here with us today as our guest speaker. Lyz, I thank you and I welcome you. I'm so excited and happy, humbled, and honored that you're here with us.
It's my honor. Thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks for joining us. And we'll speak to you later if need be, because you never know what can happen here. I might go down, or if I disappear, you'll have to jump on in. Or Charlie will take over, one or the other.
Exactly.
Well, hello, Lyz. Finally, we get to see you. And Lyz Starwalker is a lifelong experiencer and contactee. And Lyz, from a young age, has experienced beings and contacts, and has had a very, very interesting early childhood, teens, and later on in 1996, she had contact with Ashtar and the Galactic Alliance. So I will hand directly over to you, Lyz, and you can start off wherever you like and tell us your story.
Okay. Well, when I was very young, 3 or 4 years old, I remember meeting with 3 different beings that would come out of a big rock, like materializing or coming through the rock. I'm not sure. I was very little. And they would take me, my hands, and we would go inside the rock again, and to this very large area although I don't know what is around this area or inside of this area, because there was illuminated only where we were, and all we would do is to hold hands and just feel this incredible love and joy for hours. And it's like emanating this love to the world. And that was my little imaginary friends, but it was very real to me.
Yeah.
And then I also had a guardian angel that would be with me all the time. It was never dark at night or when it was dark. Where I lived was in Brazil, near the Amazon forest, and it's the central west in Brazil, a region called Mato Grosso. That would be thick woods, translation for that. As I grow up more, when I was about 7 years old, we moved to another city, and there was no woods. I had to go to school. Everything changed. Although the guardian angel was always with me, and the contact with those three beings was not there anymore. I was busy then with school, learning, and everything changed. Then when I was about 13, 12, 13, I'm just skipping a lot, so we don't have much time.
Yeah.
About 12, 13, I had an encounter with, when I was 7, I also had an encounter with Ascended Master Moria Khan. And he talked to me for, I don't know how long, but for a while. And he was sitting on a white horse and was in a desert. I think it was like a Sahara desert or Middle Eastern. And he was dressed with the clothing that they used at that time there in Middle East, and like an Arab type of dressing. And he had a very thick black beard, and his eyes were, I wouldn't say blue, they were in a very strange color, almost like no color in it, very, very bright. And that caught my attention very much. Yeah. And after he talked to me, he went like this. So silence, right?
Mm.
And well, I don't know what he said to me, and it's in a very, very deep subconscious mind. I didn't go through regression to bring up these kind of memories, those memories. So I don't quite know what it is. But throughout my whole life, things were happening like someone come and tell me, do this. Someone invisible, some voice or a dream or something, and it tells me, you have to go there now. And I had to start over in my life many times, including 3 marriages. And that's how strong it was. And if I pretended to just stay there, not listen to it, things would go very bad. So I had to go and do it. Until I realized when I was 13, 14, I started having recurring dreams where I was running away from a scanner. It was like they want to put like microchips on people now. Well, I don't know if it was another timeline, a parallel timeline, or it was a dream just to tell me, a warning what's going on, or it has happened in the past. I'm not sure. Although I was always running away and hiding in rubbles of a city from those scanners. They were hovering above our heads with a machine, with a device that was scanning people. And they were looking for those who didn't have the chip. So, and it was I kept thinking about it. And that was, I'm 50 years old now. So I was a long time ago, and in Brazil, we didn't have hand scanners, RF scanners. And
way before its time, even.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't quite know what that meant back then. And I didn't have television until I was 12 years old. So, was like, you're very in contact with nature. I was able to, also when I was little, I was able to talk to animals and the plants. And, it was a relationship very, very natural and connected, very connected. And I was very lucky to have that.
Yeah.
So then when I was about 15, 16, I started having different dreams now. Now I'm having these very, very vivid dreams where I was inside of a cave-like environment, and was it initiations, like spiritual initiations.
Were there other beings with you? Were there other beings present?
Yes, other beings present. And they were dressed with long white robes, like cotton robes, with hoods on their heads. And they would have their hands inside of the sleeves and the hoods down, so I couldn't see their faces. Although in one of these ceremonies, I'll say, I was in front of this very tall old gentleman with a very long beard, white beard, and he had a medallion. And this medallion had a star that was a 9-pointed star, and were gemstones in each point. So it was an emerald in the middle, and it looks like rose quartz or rubies at the ends, on the points of the star. And that called my attention because when I was 18, 19 years old, I met a spiritual teacher in Brazil, and what called my attention then was that he had the same medallion, except that his medallion had 7-point stars. So it was a very interesting thing. And then I got married, and now life goes on. Had 2 kids, and 10 years later, well, marriage doesn't work because I was told now that I had to go study with that teacher. So things happened that I had to get divorced, not only because of these, of course, other things happened in my life. And just to cut the story short, I then moved to the ashram where this teacher was in Brazil. And he's still there. He's very old now. So that was about 1993, 94. And in the ashram, it was very interesting because when I first met that teacher, he said to me, everything for you will be very fast. You will not stay long, and you will have to go. So,
Lyz, can I ask a short question?
Sure.
I think I know the man that you're talking about. Does he speak, just to clarify, I'm not going to mention his name unless you would like to. Well, you could. Why don't you mention and see if I can recognize it?
Well, his actual name is Dr. Wilson McGregor, and he channeled a being called Haichana.
Okay. There's also a man in Brazil who works with these benevolent beings, and there is a cave that they will go into. And the cave during the daytime, you can only fit, say, 50 or 25 people. And then by night, it literally expands and expands and expands. Is that something you've heard of?
No, I've never.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe on another interview or when I talk to you later, but I wanted to clarify because I just want to let the viewers and listeners know there's a lot of contact going on in Brazil. There's something sacred about that place, and that has been reserved, and Brazil has so much. I mean, I just want to take a trip there one day, you know, and just and just have contact. But yeah.
Well, Brazil is part of the BRICS now, but we were always being very open with, we don't have that secrecy about the aliens and talking about aliens or talking about a saint or talking about a ghost is not the same. It's just normal. People are very, very open. And
right, precisely. And I think that's definitely something worth saying. People are very open to that. It's the norm for them. It has been for centuries, not like here in the US or maybe some other places. But anyway, Lyz, continue and go on.
Okay. Well, then when I met my teacher there in Brazil, I didn't participate on the Darsnas, which was the lectures at first, because I was new. Then, because I was new, I was taking care of the kids outside, the children of the attendants, and then and I wanted to learn. I was there to learn. I was told to be there to learn. So because I wanted so much, I ended up developing telepathy with the teacher. And everything they have learned over there inside of the room, I already knew. So I started, I didn't know I had that capacity. Although when I was, high school, I would pretend that I knew what people were thinking, and I would tell them what to do, and they would do it. So I said, well, okay, I better stop that. It's not fun, tell people what to do, like, without them knowing. So this is very, very, and I was raised in a family, very loving family, never knew anything bad. I thought also that all people in the world was, everybody was good people, So I had to learn the lesson too, and deal with evil people and learn how to defend myself and how to recognize it too. And throughout my whole life, I've been seeing everything that happens to me, whether it's good or bad, and it's always something for me to learn. It's nothing to be complaining about. It's always a thankful lesson, appreciating everything. Well, in the ashram then, and I was there for 2 years, and we had, and one night was an orb. This orb entered in the main room, which was a circular room. It's called the Kendo Ingan, and knocked out some stuff there. I don't know why. So next day in the morning, my teacher went there and opened up the door, and I didn't understand why did the orb get in and it couldn't get out. So I understand that what the Kendo Ingan is it's like it's where the spiritual teacher teaches. So it's that has very high vibration, and not everyone can get in there too. It's like a sacred place. And then the following days was very, very weird, because I started feeling very tired at the same time at 3:44 in the afternoon. And I had to go take a little nap. Well, then the third day, when I went to take this little nap, this very large, I would say about 3 or 4 feet large, light being came through the wall. Wow. And this being came through, inside of that light beam. And he never touched the floor. That was a very interesting thing. And I'm pretty sure I didn't fall asleep. I didn't get to lay down to my bed. I was still sitting in my bed when everything happened. Then he talked to me for a period of time. Not sure either, because now, I'm in a different
time zone.
Time zone, different dimension. There is really no time. But it felt like a couple of hours. Then I didn't have missing time either, but it did feel that it was a long time. And there were not words, there were telepathic transmission. So, there's no physical words, it wasn't formed sentences, there were like pictures and concepts. And for about 10 days, that happened every day at 3:44 in the afternoon. And at the end, he also said to me, go and find your people, and you will know when time comes. Well, all that I remembered then, consciously, was to go and find your people. Well, then I found interesting because my spiritual teacher, when I first met him, said, everything will be fast for you. You will not be here for long. Well, that was a couple of years later. So although it took me 6 years, I was there for 6 years in the ashram. Well, since that encounter, when this being came through, he said his name. He said his name was Ashtar Shiram. I never knew anything about Ashtar. I was in the ashram. We had one television and we would watch for a couple of hours. We didn't have a telephone or a radio or anything.
No communication.
It was isolated. So, and we only had like study books like physics, quantum physics, and everything we studied there was nothing mystical. It was pure science. So, and that's what was my mind. It was all pure science, and I am a scientist. And I want proof of everything. I want to make sure that, it's not imagination or, I have to have proof. Yeah. I can't prove these though. I cannot prove what happened to me. So, after that encounter then, my dreams, see, we're in Brazil and I speak Portuguese. I never spoke English. I hated English in school, like you learn over here Spanish. We learn English. It's British English, actually, not the American English. Okay. So, but my dreams start to be all in American English. Okay. And I understood perfectly, and I spoke English in my dreams. And when I was driving my car in Brazil, on the roads in Brazil, a large screen would come up off my my windshield, and at the same time I was driving on that road, I was also driving in another road.
Okay, like in a different timeline somewhere else?
In a different timeline, somewhere else.
And you'd see, what did you say, a computer screen in front of you?
A big screen, like in a theater screen, like in a cinema, a really large screen. So it was very disturbing because I was driving, all of a sudden I'm looking at those two screens, two roads, and it was very, very, very weird for me to, continue to pay attention on one road or another road. Which one?
Did you want to stop? Did you think of stopping? Did you want to stop? What's going through your mind?
Yeah, at the moment I started to doubt it disappeared, Yeah. So, a couple of years later, that took a couple of years, my brother was here in the United States for a few years. So he invited me because I finished college there in Brazil then. In the ashram, they had college there. I took science, philosophy, and ontology in there in Brazil. And I had finished college there in school. And my brother said, well, why don't you come over here, bring the kids here? I would like to raise them here. And at the time was before 2000, so we could do that. So I said, oh, okay. And my mom said, I can bring the kids there. You could stay there in the Asher. And I said, well, I'd like to go there visit too, because I'm having these dreams in English and this and that, and I would like to know what happened. Well, then I came here with my kids. And I came with a visitor pass, right? When I arrived in the airport, this gentleman came and held my hand like this, in a different handshake that I have never seen before. I'm sure someone knows what that means, but this handshake, and he was dressed in a very long coat, like a winter coat. That was in Connecticut, it's cold there in the Northeast over here in America. And it was wintertime, it was in August. So he had a long coat, and he was very well dressed, very handsome, in his early 30s, I don't know. And he said to me, we were waiting for you. I said, oh, okay. I don't know who you are. And he just said that and took off. And didn't stay long. I couldn't even ask him why, what's going on.
Yes.
So weird things like this was happening and all the time. And then again, when I took my first job here, I was a cashier, because I understood English, although the American English is not English. So, it took me a while to understand what was like. I could read proper English, and I spoke proper English. And when I spoke proper English, they would say, what? They couldn't understand what I was saying. So I had to learn, more of a street language here to speak. And I would listen to David Wilcock's radio show to learn how to speak more of a street language. I could read, but I was very shy to speak. So I took my first job here was a cashier in a store, in a home improvement store. Well, my first day there, again, the same gentleman that was in the airport in New York, where I arrived the first time. And that was a year later when I got my documents to be able to work here. So he came to the cashier and did the same thing. He took my hand the same way and said, well, I was waiting for you here. And it took off again, And I was just like speechless. And the cashier...
And it was a man. Can you describe this man?
Yes. He had he had dark hair, nice cut, and he was handsome, like a roundish face, and no beard or
so a human-looking guy.
A human person, yes. And the cashier next to me looked at me and said, "What was that?" I said, "Well, I have no idea what was that." Other people saw him too. So he just said that, I was waiting for you. Well, just to skip forward.
Yeah.
And I forgot all about Ashtar at the whole time, because then I said, well, okay, since I was born, I have never worked in my life. I have no idea how it worked to be in the world. So now I'm going to learn how to be in the world. So I took a job, and I took some classes in I wanted to be a caregiver.
Yeah.
I have some healing gifts. So I took some CNA classes I wanted to go, and then, well, that was always very, very, very strange like this. When I took the CNA classes in working in a nursing home, an elderly home, And a lot of people are there with terminal illnesses or just waiting for a die, really. And they start dying, and they would come at night and get me.
Wow.
And I didn't know them. They were not my patients. So they would be in this really dark place, pitch black. I could not see them, but they could see me. And they would come to me, and I would bring them to a sphere of light and just bring them close to that sphere of light. They said, why can't you see the sphere of light? You can see me in the dark. I said, well, you glow in the dark. You glow here, and we can see you. So, and then I would bring them, literally grab their hands and bring them to this sphere light that was like the size of the moon. Wow. And they couldn't see it. They couldn't reach or see it. It is very interesting. I don't know why they couldn't see it. So perhaps the explanation, my scientific explanation would be they would be on a different phase, vibrational length. So they would not see it. But as they were with me, their vibration would raise a little more, and they would be able to get
the higher vibrational frequency. We had this conversation actually last night with some people that were here at a gathering that I had, and we were watching the skies and could see craft quite clearly, and some of them you've probably seen yourself. They come over, they zigzag a bit, they stop, and then you'll have a huge glow when you make I call it my little Wi-Fi connection with them, and you get a bleep or a flash. I know Lindsey has the same, and but somebody that was here, they couldn't see that. They just couldn't see, and a little child that was here, she could see. She was going, yeah, I see them. Someone else saw them. But a couple of people was like, the sky just looks a sky. I can just see a star, and I thought, it's got to be something to do with our vibrational frequencies.
Yes. So they would just go into that sphere, and that was it. And that started happening. First was when I was sleeping, and then it started happening during the day too, and then I couldn't do anything else.
While you're conscious as well. So while you're asleep astrally, it's happening, and then while you're awake as well.
Then started happening when I was awake too. So I had to close that door, right?
Okay.
It's actually a chakra that we have behind our back here, behind the base of the cerebellum. And if you don't want to talk to spirits, or don't want to see spirits, you can close that chakra. Or if you want to do it, you open that chakra. I do not advise to open. Let's leave them where they belong. So, there are many beings that work on that realm. We don't have to do that. So that's my advice.
So we'll go for a break, and then we'll come back, and you can go into detail about your 10-day message from the Galactic Alliance, and tell us who the Galactic Alliance are. Okay.